You're tuning in to Geek Speak, a Geek Insider production. We're sitting with special guests in entertainment, news, and tech. So sit back and enjoy the show as we geek out together right now. Well, good evening, everybody. This is Geek Speak. I'm Meredith Loughran with my co-chair, Michael Lanning, and we've got two very special guests today. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the notifications bell so you know exactly when we're going live. But we've got Morrison and Alex Dawe, and we're going to be doing some comics talk tonight. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. All right. Hey, I'm Michael Lanning, independent artist. Done work for Silverline. And, of course, the upcoming Continuum Comics with Meredith Loughran. There's a couple of stories in there to check out. Of course, you can also see me as a co-anchor on Week Ended on Friday mornings where we talk about mainstream and indie comics because to us, they're about the same thing. So, and also sometimes you kind of see me now against my will. They actually took a picture of me and put me as a co-host on Sunday Comics Brunch. So I'm being held hostage over there. So y'all can see that every Sunday.
It's the only way that we could get that picture that didn't look like a mugshot. All right,
that mugshot has lasted me many years.
Well, I'm going to put Shane up on the big screen so you can introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Shane. I am a comic book writer, and I am the creator of Beast King. And I also run Crimson Gate Comics, where I also publish my other series, Ungodly Champion, and I publish Crosser's Gate for Travis Martinez. I've been at this whole comic book thing for probably 3 to 4 years, and now I'm at issue 4 of my Beast King series, which is currently live on Kickstarter, and I think that's about it.
All right, Alex, let's put you up on the big screen here.
What up, world? My name is Alex Dawe, the founder of NRG Comics, one of its head writers, creator of ZENER, Mastermind, which is now funding on IndieGoGo. NRG Comics seeks to create the next big superhero universe for fans, by fans, do comics right, just for you guys. We have a whole bunch of ideas coming to you. I myself been doing comics professionally since 2017, but passionately I've been doing it all my life, and we want to inspire people like you to create comics. So let's get to work.
All right. I love it getting to work. Now, so Geek Insider is one of the things that I love to do is get inside the geek. I love the Genesis story. Okay. Now I'm like one of the weird ones in the family. My parents didn't know what to do with me. They're like, what is this creative child and what do we do? And I was like, hey, I want to do this. You know, I actually started off singing. I mean, I've been writing my entire life, but the career that I wanted to go for was musician, you know, so that I was still in the creative field and stuff. And they were like, how are you going to make a living? When you said, or when you had it in your head that you were going to do comics, did you have that kind of pushback? Or was this something that happened later on in life? Or was this something that you always wanted to do?
Let's start with Alex. We'll start with A.
Okay. Well, honestly, comics and superheroes have been something that's been all my life. You know, as a kid, my first introduction to them were Power Rangers and Batman the Animated Series. And you know, in my spare time, I was always drawing things like monsters or characters. Originally, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a chef, but then I started noting in my pastime how much I was actually spending more of my time drawing characters, coming up with ideas, and I realized that my true passion was creating comics and characters. And originally in college, I went to college to be both a writer and an artist, but I realized that my skills were as a writer, and that's what I love doing more. So that's where I went to work. But I still do a lot of character design for our comics. So I guess it was just something I always knew I wanted to do. I mean, I have a lot of creative endeavors I wanted to do, like in theater or like animation. I could go on about that, but I mean, comics, I think it's one of those mediums where you can just want to start from there and build off of everything else. I've just loved comics since I was a kid, especially superhero kind.
Shane, how about you? What's your Genesis story?
Well, mine isn't too different. I obviously also grew up watching the animated Batman series,
Great
X-Men, Superman, especially the Justice League cartoon. That one actually left a pretty big impression on me.
Same here.
And I tried to get into drawing when I was a kid. I obviously was not too good at it. who knows, maybe if I'd stuck with it, I would have gotten a lot better. But I always had like an overactive imagination from like being a kid till now. And I kind of discovered, like, it was weird because I never would have imagined I would have actually even tried to get into comic books in any way when I was younger. Because my general goal was to try to get into video games, which I guess, comic books and video games aren't really that different. But I guess I learned like there's a lot more involved in video games than I had realized. And then somehow I eventually became an EMT, and then, I was finally able to like afford to buy comic books on a regular basis. And I appreciated, the medium that is comic books, but I always felt like I could kind of do my own thing with it.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, it's the whole process of creating a comic book. Basically, I took a year to learn, and I'm still learning every day. I'm learning something new, whether it's terminology, whether it is just how to speak to people, the language, the formatting, the lettering. I mean, just like all of that stuff is like things that I want to have my hands in, and it's kind of neat because taking all of the things that I've learned, I'm almost 50 and here I am trying to do my first comic book, and so I always say you're never too old, but my first experience was with that was my friends and we were in junior high, and we decided that we were going to pass a notebook and we were telling stories and we were drawing pictures and stuff like that. It was a whole crossover with Indiana Jones and Star Wars.
I like that. That's awesome.
So we sent it off to California, and we immediately got a cease and desist. And it was just like, oh my gosh, we're only 11. They're going to sue us. Oh my gosh. And
that seems natural, though, doesn't it? I mean, Indiana Jones and Star Wars, yeah, that's straight up.
You got to ask, who's Harrison Ford really playing in that scenario? Is it Han Solo or Indiana Jones?
That's his carbonite dream.
And, it's just like one of those things where it just feels like coming home again to the creative process. What has your journey been like, as far as, because you both have crowdfunds, and I'm kind of interested why you chose the crowdfunding platform that you did, but when you started off, I'm pretty sure that the crowdfunds like Kickstarter and IndieGoGo, they weren't really that popular. I mean, how did you get your works out there?
I can go first again if you want. So basically, I started making my following on DeviantArt. I mean, that was a platform I followed a long time for different reasons, like finding art that I like. A lot of it was fan artwork. And I just knew that that's where I wanted to start building my following, or at least just putting my ideas on there. And, from there, I started posting characters, revamping them, getting to them where they are now. And, eventually I started being more professional about it, putting out actual comics, trying a Patreon, like posting to Facebook and Twitter, getting all those accounts set up and posting everywhere. And, I guess when it came to choosing which platform to use for crowdfunding comics, a lot of that was helped with my editor, Webb Blennett, who's writing ZENER. Big shout out to him. He's a great guy. And, we did our research on this, and he was more knowledgeable at this than I was. And we found out that professionally, IndieGoGo is more of a place to have a comic crowdfund because, it's a bigger community, comic book community on there. A lot more comics are done there. And really, on Kickstarter, I mean, it's a great platform, but a lot of people do it more as comics as a spare passion time. They don't try to make a professional living out of it, which is what we're trying to do. So that's why we chose IndieGoGo. So we want to show that we're serious about being a publisher.
Yeah, and I know that there are some people who would probably push back about that because they're like, well, that's where the networking is. But I'm kind of curious to hear, Shane, because you are on Kickstarter.
Uh-oh. So
ladders and chairs.
So I use Kickstarter mostly because it's the bigger platform and it's got the bigger audience, obviously since it was around first. But also a lot of people I know are on Kickstarter, and so it makes it easier to network for me, as opposed to IndieGoGo. I don't really know a whole lot of people who are on it. And so a lot of my fan base is people who have backed through previous Kickstarters, people I've met at Comic-Cons, other creators I know, and then sometimes just totally random people that I have no idea where they came from. And I've been sticking with Kickstarter, and it's been pretty good to me so far. Sometimes I'll do like after a Kickstarter, I'll kind of do like a 1 or 2 week like short IndieGoGo campaign just to see if they're, because some people are very dedicated, I guess, to the platform that they use. Some people will only back Kickstarter projects. Some people will only back IndieGoGo projects. And so I'll do like a short campaign on there just to see if, there's anyone on there that hadn't seen my project, that like while the books are getting printed, then maybe I can get some fans from there as well. So I'm not like opposed to one or the other. It's just Kickstarter's the one I'm more familiar with.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, I think it's like Coke and Pepsi. It's just like it's a crowdfund, and I am a big fan of not leaving money on the table. But for both, though, and I'd like to hear your perspective. What is the biggest challenge when it comes to creating your crowdfund?
Well, for me, I think basically, I mean, it's honestly getting people interested so they actually, support it. I mean, we're out. I mean, the whole team is out there every day on social media, like networking with people, taking an interest in their artwork, and like so they can take an interest in ours. It's a networking thing, really. We share our work with them, and we can. And basically, the challenge is that you always the hope that they will decide to back our campaign. They won't just like give it a thumbs up or say cool and just go on, which is cool, which is fine. We like the compliment, and we know they like our work, but I mean, getting the support is the real challenge, especially since this is our first crowdfund. We're learning a lot, and we're still working hard to meet our goal, which is taking a while. But it's just trying to network with people and actually get them interested enough in our work. That's what it's been for us.
Yeah, I mean, they can like it and give you a compliment, but give it a share too, guys. I mean, just say, okay, maybe you don't have the money to fund it right now, but share it out. Let other people know about it. Yeah. That's a lot of help.
It is. It's more than helpful, honestly.
Yeah.
Shane, how about you? What has been the biggest challenge when it comes to maybe putting together your crowdfund or organizing? I mean, just what is the biggest challenge for this for you?
Am I cutting in and out at all?
A little bit. You're a little bit laggy.
Damn, I'm having to use my cell phone because my internet sucks.
Oh no! It really sucks.
Oh
man.
And Alex, and then there was one.
All for attention on me. Hear me.
He'll be back, folks. So the biggest challenge, I know we just finished up a crowdfund with, there he is. We just finished up a crowdfund with Continuum Comics. And before that, I had finished up one for Pros. And getting that organized and all the stuff that you should do beforehand is a lot more work than people would expect. Shane, are you back? You good? You look good.
I think so.
All right.
I'm having to use my phone because my internet sucks and there's like a bad thunderstorm.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Oh.
All right. Well, if you cut out, then we will let people know where to find you. But what is the biggest challenge for you when it comes to creating your crowdfund?
I would say well, are you talking about like before it's live or as it's live?
Along any part of the process.
Hello? Man, what is going on?
Thunderstorms.
Am I still there?
Yeah, you're still there. So along any part of the
it's a pretty big one. Man, what is this is pretty bad. I have not had this problem before.
Mm-hmm. Can you hear us okay?
Oh,
and we lost him again.
Yeah, I think so.
And you know what? So listen up, everybody. So he's got 8 days to go on his crowdfund. So I have no problem inviting him back so that we could talk when his internet isn't busted. But if he pops in and out, that's okay too. This is live streaming and this is Geek Speak. It happens. Trust me. I know. So Alex, was there anything else when it came to like challenges and things like that? Start from the beginning, like the biggest challenges from the beginning, because when people tune in, a lot of times they have takeaways. We like to have some evergreen material for people to revisit.
I'd be happy to. So I guess basically when we knew we were going to do crowdfunding, we basically had to do a research to see how it works and like look online, like based on like how to make a successful campaign, what other people's advice had. Looking at these, we learned some stuff that we had to keep in mind or we had to be aware of, and that was a lot helpful. And then like we actually began planning it. What we did was like we did a preview page on IndieGoGo as a way to network with people and get them interested, get an email list going, and that was a lot of help. And a lot of our promotional work went to that, and it really helped for us because what we did was we got promotional pieces of our character ZENER done by our other artists, and we felt that really helped because not only did like people get like a new artistic rendering of him every 3 weeks or so, but I mean a lot of unknown artists also got their work put out there, so it was a great support for them as well.
Can you name some of them for us?
Actually, I got
them off the top of your head.
Better yet, I'll pull up my gallery here, and
we like that too.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can actually pull it on this. Can I do a screen share on here? One sec. All right, hold on. Let me just hold on. Here we go. Okay, so here I'll take you through my gallery, and I will show you just some of the cool art that I had. So let's see. Location window, no Chrome tab. Oh, here we go. Okay, so share. Okay, so let me take you into my gallery. So this is our DeviantArt gallery. You can find us on DeviantArt. It's NRG Comics, one word, first 4 letters, bold-space. So this is our ZENER folder. So a lot of what you're seeing here is like our main stuff, like our characters. But in here, this is ZENER by other artists. So like a lot of these were characters done by people on DeviantArt. So example, this was done by Alex Weston 45, and it showcases ZENER handling crime in a different situation than other heroes, where he's like actually trying to escalate with peace, not violence. He's been Alex has been a long time supporter of ours. What the cool thing was, and sometimes we got like fan art done of our characters. Like someone did a statue rendering. Alex Moore did a statue rendering. It's a little obscure, but it's a thought that counts, and we thought it was pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to take that time to do that with your character, that's got to be pretty flattering, though.
Yep. We commissioned a big thing on DeviantArt is micros, and we knew that would be a big entry. So we had like Nova 20X on DeviantArt. He did like all the renderings of the characters who came in issue 0. So we got ZENER, Automaton, Salvatore, Dr. Steel, Cyborg, Soulman, and Chimera. So yeah, they're all from the issue 0, the main cast there.
And these are characters that are all in the book?
Well, yeah, issue 0, and what we also have planned is
wow. Okay.
Yeah. This is from a Twitter. Whoops. Sorry, I'm not logged in here. This is from an artist we met, I believe, on what was it? On Twitter, Otto Arantes. He just had this cool style that we love, and he really nailed ZENER on the first try in his own way. And this was a very popular one.
It kind of reminds me of that Nickelodeon style that you used to get.
Yeah, it kind of does. It's almost like a Danny Phantom style.
It's just it's still his own style, but you kind of see a little bit of an influence there.
Yep. And let's see, one more. I'll show you one more, and then let's see. This one we're very proud of. It's actually of our main bad guy, Salvatore. It's like a portrait shot, and that was done again by Drixie on DeviantArt. He's like got this great portrait painter style. As you can see some of his work here. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, I just had one of the coolest thing about this was that we got to interact with these people, and I'm going to stop screen sharing here now. How do I Okay, and we got to interact with these people, get to know them better, get to know how their process. We got them on tap for like future campaigns. That was awesome. So going from that, that really helped. And but when we actually came down to planning the actual campaign, the biggest thing we had to consider were the funds that we needed to make the comic happen and get it distributed. So we had to take in how much we had to pay our artists to get the comic done. We had to. Hey Shane, welcome back.
Hopefully it's working now. I tried restarting my phone, so I don't know if that'll help.
Yeah. So we also had to take in like shipping costs with mail, which is not an easy thing to figure out. Honestly, like
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, like the U.S. Postal Service, it's slow in real life, but I mean, to figure out things like how much it's going to cost to send a comic book out, it's never easy. So we had to kind of guess it, and then like we went through a bunch of rough drafts of our campaign page to really nail down how to make it look professional, but also interesting at the same time, make it stand out. Really, and a lot of it, I will admit, is also still a learn as you go process, especially since it's our first one. You learn new things about IndieGoGo crowdfunding sites and as the crowdfunds as you're doing them. But yeah, I mean, this whole process it's always going to be a challenge. I'm going to admit that to the viewers. This whole thing is going to be a challenge, regardless if it's your first or your second or your 15th. But really, it's not about it being a challenge and giving up. It's about being a challenge and persevering through it, especially if this project really means something to you, which it does. It'll all be worth it in the end. And if you're like me, you'll love getting out there, promoting it, working on this, because it's not work, it's your passion.
Right. Well, I got a question though. When you're starting to prep, like even before you really have the book all together, were y'all showing like in groups? Like, you have the how to draw comics groups and things like that. Were y'all kind of previewing stuff in there to let people see, kind of get people hyped up about it before you really kind of drop the book?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in fact, that was what we made in issue 0 just to do that, Issue 0, which you can find on a free link you can read for free on our campaign page. It was made to give people a prelude of the things to come and set up for the mythos that was ZENER Master of the Mind.
Yeah.
So people
get that hype going.
Yep. So people get a sense of what's to come and they want more. And that helped us a lot because the people essentially got a free comic for absolutely nothing. And they got more than what they wanted. They got.
Right.
So if I recommend anything, it's do an issue 0. I mean, even a small, like 20-page one, because if you do that, that will hook people in because they're basically getting a free comic.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so with Beast King, you were doing the same thing. I know you're on your 4th issue now. So y'all been kind of pushing that out there for a while, huh?
Yeah, Beast King was actually my first ever comic book, like issue 1 was. And so, since it came out a few years ago, I figured it was probably a good idea to do like a free digital copy at the very beginning of the Kickstarter page. Because, like you said, I'm on issue 4, so I figured what better way to get people interested than to give them a free copy of issue 1.
I love the designs of these creatures here, especially with the whole like Godzilla versus Kong thing that's going on in pop culture right now. I feel like this is a very relative and people can see it and just like they'll get into it,
Yeah.
So now, being that you're on issue 4, when you were starting out, did you have this whole story arc in place? Do you know exactly, the start to finish, or is it kind of like? Because as a writer, most of the time I'm just a pantster. I just kind of go like, okay, that'll. I don't think about the greater arc. I think about the smaller stories, and then try and put that connective tissue together to see if it can make a bigger arc. And again, that's storytelling, very different from script writing and comic books that I'm learning. So when you started off, Shane, did it start off as just kind of one and it grew, or did you always have the story arc in mind?
Oh, I've always had the story planned out from before I ever had the first page made. I basically know how the next 5 to 10 issues or 5 to 10 volumes will go, and I know how it's going to end, and even that it ties into my Ungodly Champion series, and I know how that one's going to go all the way till the end.
Ungodly Champions. Could you tell us any more about that? Is that a future series or?
No, it's based on the same exact time period and the same, like both stories are based in Texas, And Ungodly Champion, it's basically like a tournament of the gods, and every 100 years they hold a new tournament to determine like who will become the champion of Ether, which for those who don't know, Ether is like the natural magical energy of the world.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
the contenders are like the gods that train them and everything end up unlocking their ability to like utilize the Ether. And so it makes them able to use powers and stuff, kind of similar like Mortal Kombat, how like, you know, they'll set their fist on fire or, you know, pull their mask off and they're shooting fire out of their mouth, stuff like that.
Get over
Right.
here.
Yeah, and so pretty much, you know, they're fighting to determine who will become the champion of Ether. And once you become the champion, you're able to utilize a lot more of the Ether like freely. And so like the purpose of it is to determine who will be the one to basically change history and keep like humans' history moving forward. And so like previous winners are people like Alexander the Great, King Arthur, Genghis Khan, people like that.
Oh, cool. All right.
Nice.
Yeah, I remember seeing this trailer because one thing that hooked me about this trailer was the what was it? Everybody has their secrets, and I went and looked for mine and found it. Was it something around those lines?
Yeah, I think
And
that's actually word for
you
word.
guys are okay, we can play the trailer as long as we don't have any copyright music on that. But I just kind of wanted to go through the you know, for anybody who's viewing this, you get to see the different tiers that are here and some of the artwork. That's Stan Yak cover is amazing. I love villains and I love monsters.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I mean, monsters were the very first thing I drew because, again, I grew up with Power Rangers, you know, so like every villain of the week was a monster, you know, so I mean, they hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah,
So,
same here.
Okay, so I was going to ask if you had a choice, if you could only do villains or superheroes, what would it be?
You mean like a story based on them?
Or that drawing, whatever. Yeah, if you had to pick one and say that's it, you're stuck there. What do you think it would be?
I want to say villains because, you know, like Jake, the main character in my series, he's more of an anti-hero, so he doesn't even. I wouldn't consider him like a superhero. I consider him more of an anti-hero because he makes, you know, selfish decisions and he's more about his own interests and whatnot.
Well, that bust package is crazy. Who designed that?
The paramedic I work with, he actually he's very artsy when it comes to stuff like that, so he makes those for me.
Nice. That is brilliant. That I would back. I'm probably going to back that just for that bus.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk him into using like glow in the dark paint for his eyes, so that way it looks like cat eyes glowing in the dark.
Oh my gosh!
Oh wow!
Yeah, we're going through a lot of these different tiers and stuff like that. Yeah, that's really neat. Now, how do you guys determine when it comes to whether it's stretch goals or figuring out your tiers and stuff like that? Again, you know, kind of giving a lesson to the people who are tuning in who are kind of curious about the process. How do you determine like what's good, what makes profit? At the end of the day, we all want to make money, right? And a lot of those things that we add on, you know, whether it's a sticker, whether it's a bookmark, or whether it's a bust, those take away from the bottom line. How do you determine what you're going to add and what's cost effective?
Well, for me, I think because this is our first one, I think what we keep in mind more than anything is reaching our goal. You know, making sure the comic gets published more than anything and get it to people. And then after that, we kind of like look at like what else we can do and say, you know, what can we give people so that we can still make a profit from this, but more importantly, still get the bottom line comic out. You know, I mean, with anything. For us, you know, making sure the comic gets out to people, that's our goal more than anything, regardless of how much money we make or more money than our goal is. You know, that's a priority that we always come first. So I guess it really comes down to priorities for us.
Mm-hmm. And Shane, while we're here, tell us a little bit about your creative team. How did you bring them all together?
So Travis, my illustrator for Beast King, he was actually, I think, one of the first, if not the first artist I ever actually talked to when I started this. But I guess I got lucky and we just naturally clicked because he actually went as far as to show me his Crossers Gate series to kind of show me like what his pages would look like. And that actually led to me eventually offering to publish Crossers Gate for him because he lives in the Philippines. So it's kind of harder for him to try to pull that off. But I've been working with Travis literally since I started at all this, and I would like to say we became friends and whatnot since then. But let's see who else. Michael, I don't even really remember how I met him. To be honest, I remember like I brought him on Ungodly Champion, and we work pretty well together. He's very flexible when it comes to coloring and all that, and I feel like he does really good work. And I also feel like he's kind of an underrated colorist. Let's see, Chuck, my editor, he actually lives in Texas just like me, though he lives more towards the south of like the south end of Texas. And me and Chuck, we always have got along pretty well. And a lot of times, I'm sure it probably annoys him every now and then. I'll be messaging him, bouncing ideas at him for Beast King and Ungodly Champion, and I'll be like, "Hey,
I'm sure Chuck's used to that." Chuck,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, Chuck.
I was around him one time, and his phone was constantly going off on the messenger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I actually, me and him, we went half and half on a table at a Comic-Con out where I live one time, and he stayed the weekend at my place, so that was pretty fun.
Okay.
And Dave with him until recently because I tried to do the lettering myself and all that, and as time went by, I got better at it. But I'd say my lettering is still kind of subpar, especially compared to Dave's. And he's actually the one that created my Beast King logo and my Ungodly Champion logo.
Oh, cool. Yeah, nice.
So anybody who's tuning in, there is 8 days to go, 68 backers, and you're at 2230. That's not bad, but hopefully you get a nice push towards the end. I know with the crowdfunds, a lot of times we get to that lull in that in the center, and it's like, oh, come on, somebody,
I think
please.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Now, if it's okay, right before we take our break, can we play your video?
Oh yeah, that's totally fine.
Perfect. All right, we'll be right back after we watch this.
Everybody has secrets. I went looking for mine. And I found them.
Pretty awesome.
All right.
Damn.
Now, that is like crazy video. Now, it was so good though, but I have to tell you, Shane, when I saw that, and this was on Backer Pause also, it was one of the feedback that we had. It was like, oh, that's great. When's the animation coming out? More so than the comic book. Have you gotten any like questions about that? Like, okay, when is the animation going to happen? Because I don't know who did the video. It was an amazing job, but it almost, and not to put you on the spot, I don't like doing that to my guests, but it almost doesn't read comic books.
Well, I have a friend named Jared. He's the one that produces these videos for me. And I've actually had, like, when because I first had him do my Ungodly Champion trailer, and some of the responses I got was people actually thought it was I had like an anime or like a cartoon series or something like that coming out. So I got some people's hopes up with it, but yeah, like, I've kind of got mixed, I guess, mixed opinions on how it looks. Are you talking about the video or the art?
A little bit of both, because the video is just, I honestly, C and I, we've seen some pretty terrible movies.
Yeah,
Like
that's
really,
not one
really
of them.
bad.
That's not what you're
And
saying.
that is like way
Yeah,
up
that's
there.
better
Like,
than nothing.
wow, that is so good, And we do want to know who
Yeah.
that guy is, just in case, because in case anybody's watching and they need somebody who can make videos, unless you're keeping him all to yourself, which I would completely understand.
But if you're not, please send him my way.
Oh, for sure. If y'all need his name, just message me afterwards, and I'll send you like his. I can't remember if he uses Facebook much anymore, but I think he does every now and then, because I think he stopped using Facebook.
So did he just put the animation together, or did you write the trailer and he put it together, or he went in there and did the whole trailer?
Pretty much, I just sent him the issue 1 through 3 and the pages that I did have done for issue 4. And, it's kind of, for the most part, it's giving him free reign and just kind of maybe giving a vague idea of what you're hoping for.
Mm-hmm. And we are we're a little bit past the halfway mark. We're going to take a little bump here. So you guys, you got about 30 seconds to take a quick break.
Check it out. MobileEdge.com has award-winning products with innovative features and contemporary, edgy designs that empower you to look sharp and travel smart with your mobile tech. Your beloved, not to mention expensive gaming gear and mobile tech devices, are an extension of you, so give them the protection and style they deserve wherever you go. Find them at MobileEdge.com and protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Bring it on. Hey Geek Insiders, Mobile Edge has a special coupon code for our dedicated listeners. Get 25% off your Mobile Edge gear using coupon code GEEK25. That's GEEK25. Geek out.
All right, everybody, we are back. This is Geek Speak with our special guests, Shane Morrison and Alex Dawe. My co-host, C. Michael Lanning, is here. I'm Meredith Loughran, and that coupon code is not expired. That is good through 2021. So you want to use Geek25 for Mobile Edge and protect your tech. Let me drop this again so we have our guests.
Right.
Hello, and we're back. Alex, we're going to bring your IndieGoGo up here, ZENER Master of the Mind, Volume 1. But
ZENER, actually. ZENER.
ZENER. Is it ZENER?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know. I get that question a lot, but we looked it up to be sure. It is pronounced ZENER.
ZENER. Now, how did you come up with the name? What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, ZENER's thing is got all these psychic powers, and for a while we were really struggling with a name for him. Like, I was trying a bunch of different things, trying to find something that was like unique and kind of fit with his psychic abilities. And then doing research in like pseudoscience and like psychic testing, I discovered the project of like ZENER cards, which are used to test for telepathy and ESP. They basically have like shapes on them, and you hold them up, and then someone's supposed to guess the shape.
Yeah.
You might remember
there's
it
a
from
famous movie that uses that, isn't there?
Yeah, like in Ghostbusters, the very first Ghostbusters, that Bill Murray's testing out some students, and he's like totally messing with them about it. And so it's like, those cards not only inspired his name, but his logo, because his logo is a star that's used on a common ZENER card.
Oh,
So,
cool!
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Interesting.
I like that.
Yeah, and it has a name that pops. You hear ZENER, you're going to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, okay, I was just making sure that I was on mute because I'm in a different tab right now. So you've got 16 days left, $5,000 fixed goal, 36 backers so far. And I would love to play your video, but take us through a little bit through your campaign. What is this Indigo Valley, and what are we getting with ZENER?
Well, Indigo Valley is where ZENER is stationed. It's where the comic take place, and it's a place where everything seems normal, but behind the shadows, within the shadows, there are a bunch of maniacal, psychotic criminals, very powerful, trying to make their own efforts happen. And ZENER, the most powerful of them all, is caught in the middle, and they're either trying to use him or destroy him or anything else. And really, ZENER, he is just trying to do good with his powers. He just wants to help people. He's a psychiatrist by day and wants to heal his villains more than anything, more than just punch him and lock him up. Like, he wants to help them. But the thing is, like, ZENER, he suffers from mentality problems. Like, he has a very fragile psyche, and like he deals with a lot of dark shit, especially with like what his criminals go through, and it takes a toll on his mind. And you see it, and this kind of makes him his own worst enemy, because you have to have a strong mind when you have psychic powers, and like because he doesn't, that ultimately backfires on him, and it puts him at odds with not only his villains but the people he's trying to protect from them.
Mm-hmm.
So our campaign going right now. We got a lot of different rewards going on. For just the $5, you could get your name immortalized in the thank you page of our book. $10 gets you that, and you get the digital copy of ZENER, which is great if you're like reading comics on your phone or your tablet or your computer. You can read them anywhere. It's the digital age. It's a tier I highly recommend. Let's see. Let me bring it up here. So for $25, you get a digital copy of the thank you and the print copy. So if you're someone who's a classic comic book collector, you can hold a physical copy, hard book, trade back paper binder of ZENER Mastermind, which you can take anywhere. You can read it on a plane, in your car, in your home, in the bathroom, whatever. But it's a great physical copy if you're someone who especially not only loves collecting comics, but trade paperbacks, because issues take up a lot of space. And this, I should mention that this trade paperback collects all 3 issues of the story, issue 1, 2, and 3. And let's see, for $35, this one of our $35 options, you get not only a digital and print copy of ZENER, you get a physical copy of our first series, Empress Mother Earth's Handmaiden. And that is the story of an evil industrious who, after a chance encounter with Mother Nature, is shown the error of her ways and is given a second chance at life by becoming her herald and one of the first superheroes of our universe. And this will give you a prelude of things to come, because Empress is actually going to get a soft reboot following our campaign with ZENER, and this is a treasure to have, because you'll have your first classic issue of Empress and her origins before the new one comes out, and this will be a treasure trove one day.
Yeah. Now tell me a little bit about this $100 tier, Be Drawn Into Comics. Now you had 10 of them, 7 of them are claimed. Can you tell us a little bit about the artist and what they can expect to be drawn in here?
Well, for this option, you can become part of ZENER's origins. You can be drawn as a character within his origin story, as he's maybe from his troubled past to the first time he puts on a costume. You will be a character immortalized in the story physically in the pages, and that is going like hotcakes. And the artist Juan Paulo, who is in the Philippines, he is this amazing dude. He has worked on some issues of Empress in the past, and we met him on DeviantArt, like a lot of our artists, and he's just an incredible guy. He's a jack of all trades when it comes to like comic book arts times 10. He can do everything. He can do pencils, inks, colors, shades, even lettering and covers. He even designed the logo for the comic cover, and how he did our company's logo on the cover. This guy is multi-talented, and he is great. And and more than anything, we want people to buy this book so they can see his art and they can hire him, and his career can skyrocket, because he really deserves to look for all the professionals. This guy should be immortalized in the comic book museum. He's that good, and we love him. He's just an amazing, awesome guy.
Now, if you could, can we take a minute to watch the video? Do we have any copyright music?
I can't say for that. My editor made the video, but I don't think there's any immediate copyright music in it, but I think we should be safe.
All right, cool. Let's give it a shot here. YouTube, I'm watching you. All right. And we're watching this.
Hello. Can anyone hear me? Is anybody there? My name is Axel de Vera. I'm the most powerful being on the face of the planet. I've been captured. my powers have been neutralized. And what they're doing to us, it's unspeakable. If anyone is out there, if anyone can hear me, please help me.
That was
Wow.
sweet. The last help me. I was like, yes.
Yeah,
I
I actually
love
did
it.
all the voice work for that. People tell me I should be a voice actor, and I would love to, but Webb initially did it, but his voice is too deep to do it. And but yeah, we had fun putting this together. We used his images from issue 0, and we feel like this really gives you an idea of what's to come in the first volume, which tells Zener's origins again from when he's a kid and he experiences his first trauma to when he puts on his costume the first time as an adult. So in a lot of ways, the comic is like a very, 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 very condensed Smallville.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool. So now, because we've only got about 15 minutes left before the show, I wanted to talk about putting those creative teams together. Do you find that you migrate to the same people, or does it depend on your project?
Well, for me, part of it depends on the project. I mean, I know me and my partner Webb. My editorial partner. Webb and I. We're partners. We're going into this together. We need each other. Like I need him as much as he needs me. We build off each other's strengths. So no matter what, we're always going to be working on this. But when it comes to artists or potential future writers, again, it kind of depends on what we need for the series. Especially when it comes to the tone or the style that we need, or kind of what we're trying to convey with the theme or the action sequence. It really comes down to really searching for what's out there. And if we can use artists we have in the past, or writers in the past that we've used before, that would be great. But really, it comes down to not only just what we need, but also what their schedule is like, and if we can use them, because they tend to have their own projects going on at the same time too. And we try to be mindful of that because we know we want them to do their own thing too, and we'd love having them as part of our team, but we ultimately don't want to stop them from achieving bigger goals. But so really, it really depends on it will come down to the new series that we introduce in the future, which we have a lot planned. So,
Shane, how about you? How do you feel about your team? Is it something that you want to try and keep together, or does it seem to be like you, as you branch off into other projects and things like that, you're looking for new blood, essentially?
I mean, for example, Beast King, I'd rather try to keep it the original team as much as possible. And Ungodly Champion, I'd like to keep it the original people as much as possible. But I do, on both series, use the same colorist and the same editor, obviously. And probably would use the same letterer. But I do like the idea of using different artists for both series, like just having a set artist for one series and a set for the other. Because then that way, if I ever do get to a point where my books are self-funding themselves, I can actually have both being worked on at the same time, and then do back-to-back releases and whatnot.
And I wanted to actually turn that question to C, because
I knew you were going to do that to me. You can bring that to me.
He and I are working on two very different projects, and so when I sent him the script, he was like, "I'd like to try that." And I was like, "Are you sure?" Because we started off with Reapers first. And then Karma, again, totally different. But what he came back with was just amazing. And the styling, it's like you could see his style, but totally different worlds, which I totally appreciated. And then finding different colorists to bring that to life.
Yeah.
So I mean, moving forward, see, I almost feel like I would be cheating on you.
No, because it always depends on the art. It always depends on the story, and what art's going to complement what it is. Who we chose for what project, as far as colorist is concerned, was leaning on their abilities to get that job done and to portray the atmosphere. That's what the whole thing about making comics and movies and shows is, portraying an atmosphere. And anything that doesn't add to that hinders it. Does that make sense? So when you're looking at a colorist or a penciler or what have you, you want them to be able to mesh, to be able to give you that atmosphere. Now they're going to come in with their own style, and you want that. You want their own style, but it's going to be a style that mixes well into the story. So,
yeah, because I have to say, with with the dying is a totally different. It's kind of like a post-apocalyptic, really dark. I've always imagined it black and white. So when I went looking through DeviantArt, I was looking specifically for an art style. And I got really lucky with Antonio Brandao, and so hopefully you'll be seeing his art very, very soon as we finish up those. Actually, the 8 pages of art are done. I have to finish lettering because I'm like, I'm poor. I have to do this myself. So
and I would never be good for that project. I really wouldn't. I've seen the artwork one; it's fantastic artwork, but I just wouldn't be good for it. It's just not the kind of my kind of style. And also, people, I guess, same point for a writer. You wouldn't want to get a horror writer to write drama necessarily. Well, drama maybe, or comedy, whatever the case is.
Fantasy,
you have a little bit of this, or something that bores them. You don't want to put them in there, but for like a penciler, you want them to be happy with the style that they're working with too,
right?
And also, my style would never lend to that story the way it should. And as an artist, you have to understand that. You have to understand that sometimes you just don't fit the project, no matter how much you want to. Sometimes you just don't fit it. So,
and so I want to bring that to Alex and Shane. When it comes to maybe finding the right artist, is DeviantArt the place you go, or do you go by referrals? I mean, how do you find those people?
Well, I think for us, I mean, specifically, DeviantArt has always been the first place we look. I mean, it's honestly Artist Central. It's Facebook for artists, and it's still a big place for a lot of artists. A lot of professionals don't use it as much, but I mean, for finding new talent, and you never know what you're gonna find on DeviantArt. So I mean, it's a place where it's like you're fishing in the water, and like sometimes you catch out a big one. But we also like look to our other social media sites. We post things like, "Hey, who's looking for a job? We're looking for this kind of artist. Do you think you can do this?" And sometimes you never know. I mean, someone who does a certain style could actually do a different genre. It's like it's like how they say comedians can make great dramatic art. Actors like the guy who was on Key and Peele, like he turned out to make a great horror writer and suspense writer. So it's like you never know. You just gotta give people a chance. You gotta see what they do. But DeviantArt definitely is the first place we look, and I think it will always be the first place we look.
Mm-hmm. Shane, how about you? Where do you deep dive for your artists and your creators?
I found every single person that I've worked with on Facebook, and so I guess I've just gotten really lucky in that aspect. Like I said earlier, Travis, I found him within 30 minutes to an hour of posting, looking for an artist. And though with Ungodly Champion, it took me forever to find the artist that I felt was perfect for the job, because I went through 3 or 4 different artists, but they were good artists, but it just for some reason didn't feel like their style was matching the story. And then I think I eventually found Diego on I can't remember the name of the group. I think it was Connecting Writers and Artists or something like that was the name of it. And I think I had found he was posting, he's looking to be hired and all that stuff. And then I, contacted him, and apparently I'm the first ever person that's hired him that actually published their work. So
oh wow.
And that means you're in good with him now. That's it.
Yeah.
There's some loyalty there now. So
hopefully.
That's awesome. And you guys, we're at the last 5 minutes of the show, so I want to make sure that that we touch on where they can find you, and And of course, I'll bring the card up and the links, you guys, to the crowdfunds. ZENER, Master of the Mind, Volume 1 is on IndieGoGo. Beast King 1 through 4 is on Kickstarter. If you're tuning in right now, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook, it is in the show descriptions. Make sure that you hit those links. If you can't support it right now, that's okay. They've got a few days left to go. Hit the share button and let your friends know, because honestly, it's hard enough to put the campaigns together. They need us to help promote it. And so let's kind of go around the room here. Alex, let's get you up here on the big screen. Again, let people know where they can find you and a little like your pitch for ZENER.
Well, guys, my name is Alex Dawe. You can find us at Energy Comics on Facebook, DeviantArt, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and of course our own site, nrg-comics.com. And once again, ZENER is about a psychic Superman type character who has all the psychic powers, but not the right mindset to use them. He is just trying to use his powers to be good. And this tells his complete origins from the moment he gets his powers to the moment he puts on his suit. And you see all the traumatic trauma and fights and battles that happen in between. It's an awesome series. And I'm hoping you'll support us so you can check it out. We love you too. Thank you. God bless.
And Shane, let's get you up here.
You can find me on Facebook. My personal page is obviously Shane Morrison's. Look for the the image of the ginger dude with the beard and the hat. You can also find my my comic book page, Crimson Gate Comics, on Facebook as well. I also have Crimson Gate Comics on Instagram under that name specifically. And Beast King, for those who aren't familiar with it, it's on Kickstarter, and it is the revenge story of a guy who was born with animal DNA combined with his own DNA when his mother was pregnant with him. And the reason it's a revenge story is because his parents were murdered in front of him when he was a kid, because his parents were actually the ones who created him to be the way he was. And they wouldn't share the research, so basically his uncles had to raise him and train him ever since, so one day he could get revenge on the company behind all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And nope, sorry.
No, keep going. You still got the mic.
I was just going to say thank you for any help that anyone can provide.
Yeah. Now, because this is Geek Insider, we usually have one final question, and this is for both of you. If you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think for me, focus on the project that's most near and dear to your heart. If you do that, then you will never be dissatisfied. You will all your skills and what you're trying to achieve now will come naturally to you, and you'll be much happier doing that. So find what works for you. Find out what you're passionate about and follow it to the T.
Awesome. Shane.
I would probably tell myself to focus more on learning about storytelling and just trying to get better at it at an earlier age, as opposed to finding out when I was in my 20s, instead of focusing on like trying to get into video games and whatnot.
And I guess the follow-up would be, would you have listened?
I think so, because
I'm hoping I would have.
Knowing
Knowing myself, I mean, it's hard to say. I would go back and shake myself to get myself the focus I would have to.
See, and mine would totally be like, when the guy is trying to give you Bitcoin, say yes. Ah, man. Anyway, thank you guys. This is Geek Insider, Geek Speak, my co-host, C. Michael Lanning. You want to tell people where they can follow you too?
You can follow me, of course, on Facebook, Twitter at C. Michael Lanning. I've dropped the 2, so just look for C. Michael Lanning. Instagram, and of course, you can find me on Weekended on Fridays with my co-host, Meredith Loughran. So,
yeah, I think I spend more time with you than my own husband. Just saying.
Hey.
All right, you guys. Shane Morrison and Alex Dawe, thank you so much for being part of Geek Speak. Everybody, head over to IndieGoGo, ZENER, Master of the Mind, Volume 1, and head over to Kickstarter, Beast King 1 through 4. On that note, you guys have a great evening. This is Geek Insider, geeking out.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.